What's your Catholic drive time?
With Joe McLean and Emily Alcaraz.
Very good. Right now, joining us via Zoom chat is David L. Gray, all the way from Cincinnati, I think. But I saw a terrible post yesterday, David. Good morning to you. Happy New Year to you. But I want to say I saw you wearing a Browns hat, and I just think I got a little queasy seeing that. Do you have good news about the Browns? I mean, could there be good news about the Browns? There you are. Praise God. I was just making fun of your Browns, and then your mic is muted. That's never a fun thing.
Happy New Year, Joe. How you guys doing?
Happy New Year to you too. Praise be to Jesus.
Yeah. So the Browns. I'm from Ohio, living in St. Louis now. But yeah, the Browns are back in the playoffs after 18 years. So that's a big deal. That's a minor miracle.
It's a minor miracle. Well, praise God for it, I guess. I forgot that they were still a football team, to be honest with you. Are the Bengals still around? I don't know. I mean, I don't keep up with these things. Does their Bengals still exist? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that team in Kentucky, I think they're still there.
Okay, that's Kentucky. Got it. Well, God is very good. David L. Gray, we want to talk to you about the State of the Union. We seem to be a nation truly divided in. We say that especially every 4 years for presidential elections. That's always a statement people throw out there, but I think it's true now. I mean, I really see a massive division. And do you think 2021 will offer any reprieve from that? Do you think it's going to get worse? I'd love to know what you think from a Catholic perspective.
Because it's really like a twofold division, right? Maybe threefold. Because one, you look politically. I mean, this is worse than 2000, right? I mean, you had a lot of Democrats back in 2000 with the Bush-Gore thing, very upset, feeling that the election was stolen from them. And it was really back then, it was just one county. I think it was Dade County in Florida or something like that. But now you have, with Republicans, people who voted for Trump, you have several counties, several precincts, several states where people feel like we're living in Russia, that the election was predetermined, right? We went out to vote, and we felt like the election was already, predetermined before, ballots were cast. So you have that issue. So it's worse than 2000 in that sense politically. But also in regards to the morality of the country, where the country is headed morally, you see a great divide there. You've seen, Nancy Pelosi come out over the weekend talking about she's getting rid of gender terms in the House. We can't say mother, father, daughter, sister anymore. We have these gender neutral terms in the House. We've seen a representative come out with at the opening of the House of Representatives yesterday, Representative Cleaver. He was talking about how, he ended his prayer. He had this monotheistic prayer. It was sort of remind you of when you and I were Freemasons back in the day, how there's just this general God, right?
Yeah.
But he ends his prayer saying, "Amen," and then he says, "A woman."
I saw that.
Gosh.
Right. As of man, like man is a gender, right? So, I mean, it's just this weird thing that's going on. So, I mean, I think what's going on. We're back at 2008, right? We have a different pope now. We don't have Benedict like we used to, but I think Catholics are back in 2008 now, where Obama came, or maybe 2012 for those who thought Obama was going to be, moderate. So we're back in 2012 when we're just fighting, we're on fire, and we're doing our best to proclaim the faith and defend the faith in the public sphere and the political space.
2021, there was so many things that happened that I didn't see coming, and I was kind of, I guess, caught off guard a little bit. I always find myself to be more naive than I ought to be. And, when the pandemic started, I thought 15 days, it'll all be over. I wasn't even happy about the 15 days, to be honest. I think I complained a lot about that, even on air. Then, of course, we're still in the 15 days to slow the spread, right? And now, I read an article in the last segment about a New York assemblyman who is trying to propose a piece of legislation that would give powers to the state government to physically detain people that they deem are reasonably contagious enough or will be at some point and could harm others just through contagion alone. That is very, very draconian. That seems very much in line with communist CCP tactics. Were you surprised seeing? I mean, that's an actual piece of legislation being discussed. That's not just some, bombastic talk from some politician. There's actually a bill that's going to get voted on for that. Did you see any of that coming in America in 2020?
I, I thought, I think some of us may have thought that, we may have been headed that way. And sometimes you see these things that seem to be fringe, but whether they get passed or not, it's sort of like a lie. It's out there now, and now people can start debating the lie. They can start talking about it. Maybe come up with reasons. Maybe if we keep talking about this, it sounds reasonable after a while. And I think that's the intent of these things. Maybe not to initially pass them, but to get people talking about them and start writing papers. Doing have a whole conversation, classes on this. Talk about it in school. So. And I remember, I don't know if you guys were like this, Joe and Emily, but remember a lot of people were talking about, after the election, this whole Corona thing is going to be over, but it's not going anywhere, right?
No, of course not.
Yeah, and the nation has just progressed so quickly. We went from a point where we were talking about the issue of legalizing same-sex unions and calling them marriage to the point where now transgender advocates are calling to put all children on puberty blockers until they can decide what their gender is. Like, the moral downfall of this country has just sped up so quickly. And David, what do you think Catholics can do to prevent this? Like, do you think we're speaking up enough? Do we need to speak up more? What are the bishops doing enough? What's your opinion?
Yeah, my central opinion is that I think we use too much language of the world to speak about divine issues, right? I think we're caught up in how the world speaks about things. We don't really echo what the church has taught about these things for 2,000 years. I think we really have to go back in speaking about sin versus virtue and just call things what they are.
David, I need you to hold that thought. That music means we're going to go to break. We're going to come back. Find his website at davidlgray.info. But check out his YouTube channel, too. Just search for David L. Gray on YouTube and make sure you like and subscribe there as well. Talking about the State of the Union, and hopefully there's a silver lining somewhere in 2021 anyway. But a lot of difficulty still on the plate. But one of the other things, David, that I wanted to bring up was the virtue signaling that became like just so insane in 2020. It could have been about racism. It could have been about mask wearing. It could have been about all kinds of things. But it became to the point where people are going to violence. They're going to public shaming. They're doing some pretty dirty deeds in the name of virtue signaling. Did that surprise you at all?
It surprised me that people call behavior that doesn't have any virtual signaling, right? It's just a weird word, but I don't know if it surprised me. The behavior of children never surprised you. I think we just have a lot of adult children who don't use reason, they don't use logic, but the first thing they jump to is just emotion, right? And there's guys, even with these charges of racism, you kept hearing it all last year: racism, but they were talking about the emotion of racism. They weren't talking about the sin of racism, what the Catholic Church calls a sin. It's objective, it's verifiable. And but we just want to throw these Molotov cocktail bombs and just wherever they land, whoever they hurt, and we don't just reason and think things through anymore.
David L. Gray, from a Catholic perspective, 2021, we don't know how. I mean, January 6th, that's like 2 days from now. I'm looking at my watch, which I don't actually have, but 2 days from now is this big January 6th date where this election becomes either a whole lot more contentious or, Biden is confirmed and he becomes the next president. Right. Catholics are very divided on this issue. How do you see this from a Catholic perspective? What ought we be thinking, doing, saying with friends, family, loved ones about the election issue in itself?
Yeah. Ultimately the will of God is going to be done, right? As on earth as it is in heaven, right? I mean, that's what's going to be done. And whatever God allows, he allows, and we still have to continue to be who we are called to be. So if that means that, he is confirmed, like I said, we go back to how it was kind of like in 2012, right? We have to even fight more ardently. And, the struggle continues. I was looking at some videos from, we were talking about the 2000 election with Bush and Gore. I was looking at some videos looking at the inauguration, how people were out there parading, they were throwing eggs at Bush's limousine as it's going by.
I remember.
It was So, January 6th is going to be interesting, right?
It's
I'm going to
gonna
be
be
tuned
interesting.
in. So we'll see.
It ought to be very interesting. And one of the things I think is very interesting was there has been clear voter fraud that has occurred. The question is, has it occurred at such a level that could swing the election one way or the other? I don't pretend to have the answer to that, but I think it's naive or I don't know. It seems crazy that we would just pretend as though nothing has happened. Something has happened. I think we can say that. The question becomes at what level, and should we actually investigate that? Because even if Donald Trump should not become the next president for the next 4 years, don't we all, as Catholics, wouldn't we want it to be fair and have integrity? Wouldn't we want it to always be a fair election no matter what, so that the voice of the people are in fact heard? I mean, wouldn't we want that by default? Or are we never allowed to question anything ever, anytime at all? That seems that's part of the virtue signaling thing that I was referring to earlier. It's like if you were to question the results, Facebook, Twitter, thinking of you, plus everybody who's the friends on Facebook and Twitter, it's like then all of a sudden you're the worst human being ever since Nero. I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, like I said, who wants to live in Russia? I mean, who wants to live in a country where elections are predetermined?
Yes, exactly.
So, I mean, something happened, and it's like all these anomalies, all these instances of potential fraud or whatever, they all seem to favor one person. That's odd in itself, and so it has to be investigated, it has to be adjudicated. But obviously, the Supreme Court has decided they don't want to go back to 2000. They don't want to determine the election. All these lower courts that seem to have given them cover. The state legislators, they don't want to make a decision here, so it's really tough. I don't know how we fix this.
Now, so the Daily Wire put out a video recently where they asked people on the street, liberal, leftists on the street, whether they would compromise on certain issues. And initially they said yes, but after talking about it, every single one of them said no. And so we see that the left is not willing to compromise on many of these issues, such as abortion, environmental issues, stuff like that. So how do you think there's any way to be unified with them, or is this division? Should we just accept the division in our country and fight for our side stronger, or should we still try to compromise with the left, who is so unwilling to compromise with us?
Yeah, I think when we look at the left, when we see their agenda, right? We see Biden's first thing Biden said he's going to do in office is push the whole transgender thing and allow boys to use girls' bathrooms. So we know who these people are, we know where they're at, we know whose side they're on, and we can't compromise with sin. And so I think because of that, it's going to get worse in as far as the moral climate of this country and where we're headed. So that division is always going to be there, right, Emily?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Adrian, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I was wondering when we were talking about, I was listening to Father Dave Nix, and he was talking about how the communists, what they try to do is it's not so much that they try to make you believe a lie. Instead, they want you to recognize that it is a lie, but to be too afraid to say anything and to pretend that it's not a lie, even though you recognize that it is a lie, because it destroys your will and prevents you from ever doing anything. What are your comments? What do you think about that?
Hey, Adrian. Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And it's this whole deconstruction of society that's going on, and we see this with the whole defund the police movement as well. And what they're trying to do there is really just break down the structure of society and what holds it together, so that something else can move in and take its place. So they're really just creating a vacuum with all these things, with creating the distrust in the election system. And I'm that way as well. I mean, I live in Illinois, so my vote doesn't really count as much anyway. but I feel like, why should I even effort, right? Why should I even try? And so it's this, this deconstruction of society and the institutions that we're supposed to trust. They just want to eliminate all those and really create a vacuum for something else: communism, socialism, then communism, to move in this place.
We're talking with David L. Gray. He's a popular YouTube Catholic author and theologian. We're talking about the State of the Union, a nation divided. We have about, 4.5 minutes remaining in our conversation with you, David. And let's turn to 2021 from a Catholic perspective. In a few minutes back, you said we still have to focus on the mission. And that's another one of the issues that I think we have as a Catholic body. Putting politics to the side for a moment. It seems like we have forgotten our mission is to evangelize the world, to to make disciples of all people. Do you think, do you agree with that, first of all? Second of all, do you think that it's possible for us to get back to sort of a missionary mindset versus a go along to get along, is the way I would describe it? What say you, David L. Gray?
Yeah, it's I think it really has to come from the laity. I think we haven't really seen much support from at least all the bishops as a body at this point in time, right? They haven't, they put a lot of good papers, they make some good statements here and there, but we haven't really seen a cohesive plan, a mission. You're a military guy. We haven't really seen that mission and that strategy really come down how to move forward. So I have really a lot of hope for a lot of lay movements, Guadalupe Radio Network, right? And
Station of the
others that are
Cross,
really out
praise
there
God.
on the forefront, really keeping people on task and on mission to promote the mass, to bring people to Christ, to point people to Christ, and do everything that Christ has called us to do.
You also mentioned in the beginning of our conversation that you and I both used to be a part of the Freemasons, and you were more involved than I was, so I feel better about that. Just to be honest with you, you were much higher up the chain of command than I was. But I was a third degree in the Blue Lodge, and were you Scottish Rite 32nd degree? I can't recall.
Yeah, I was.
So you were way up there, like you were part of the master plan. I'm just teasing, but no, we should do that again. We should have that conversation again because I thought it was very insightful. I think many Catholics today don't understand the Freemasons. They don't understand, what the church could have by way of an issue with the Freemasons. And we're not going to do that in the next 2 minutes that we have left in our show. But I wanted to bring it up because it seems like a lot of the goals for Freemasons have been achieved in modern society.
Yeah, the Freemasons have won in a sense. I mean, everything they set out to do in the 1800s. I mean, it's done. They wanted to take education out of the hands of the Catholic Church. They've done that. We have public education now. They wanted to take marriage, who's married, who's not married, out of the hands of the Catholic Church. And, most governments throughout the country and throughout the world, that's the case. I mean, they just wanted to take everything out of the hands of the Catholic Church, even who gets to be a priest and a bishop. That was one of their plans as well. We see that some places. And so the Freemasons, I mean, I just like I used to give Obama kudos. Everything Obama said he's going to do, he did. I mean, you have to, give him a clap for that. It was evil, demonic, but a plan well executed and accomplished.
Well, so we have lots of problems in 2021 that we don't have easy solutions for. 1 minute left to go. Can you give us any silver lining?
No.
The lady. He said the lady. Remember?
Pray, hope, and fast. That's what Our Lady said in
you go.
1917 to the shepherd children. And with that, we're going to leave it with David L. Gray. We'll have you back, David. I love to chat with you. David L. Gray, author, theologian, and you can find him over at davidlgray.info, or you can find him on YouTube. Just search for David L. Gray and make sure you like and subscribe while you're there. But David L. Gray, thanks for being on with us today.
Peace.
All right. God bless you. God love you. That's going to do it for hour one. If at all possible, you're able to join us in the next hour.
Thank you for joining us on Your Catholic Drive Time, where it is our pleasure to keep you informed and inspired.
Join us Monday through Friday at the same time, right here on your favorite Catholic radio station.
Don't forget to connect with us. Just go to facebook.com/Catholic Drive Time.
Again, that's facebook.com/Catholic Drive Time.
Be sure to share more than just us today. Share Jesus with everyone you meet.
Bye now, and God love you.